Enos, also spelled Enosh, is a significant figure in the early chapters of the Bible, particularly within the genealogical records found in the book of Genesis. According to Jehovah's Witnesses and information available on jw.org, Enos holds a noteworthy place in biblical history as the grandson of Adam and Eve and the son of Seth. Lineage and Birth. Enos was born when his father Seth was 105 years old, as detailed in Genesis chapter 5 verse 6. His birth came at a pivotal time in human history, a few generations after the expulsion of Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden. The name Enos itself means mortal man, or frail, reflecting the human condition after the fall into sin. This nomenclature underscores a growing awareness of human mortality and the need for reliance on Jehovah God. Significance in worship. One of the most critical aspects of Enos's life is highlighted in Genesis chapter 4 verse 26, which states, "At that time people began to call on the name of Jehovah." Jehovah's Witnesses interpret this passage to mean that during Enos's lifetime, people started to distinguish themselves by publicly invoking Jehovah's name in worship. This was not merely a private devotion but a collective recognition and proclamation of Jehovah as the true God. This period marks a significant development in organized worship and the establishment of a community of faithful individuals amidst a growing population that was beginning to drift away from pure worship. Enos's era was, therefore, a foundational time for setting patterns of worship and obedience to God that would influence future generations. Contrasting paths of humanity. During Enos's lifetime, humanity was diverging into two distinct paths: those who remained faithful to Jehovah and those who pursued their own desires apart from God's guidance. The descendants of Cain, for instance, were developing cities and cultures that often neglected or outright rejected Jehovah's sovereignty. In contrast, the line of Seth, including Enos, maintained a course of faithfulness. Jehovah's Witnesses emphasize that this distinction is crucial for understanding the ongoing theme of faithfulness versus unfaithfulness throughout the Bible. Enos represents those who, despite societal pressures, choose to uphold and promote true worship. Longevity and lifespan. Enos lived for 905 years, as recorded in Genesis chapter 5 verse 11. Such extended lifespans were common in the pre-flood world and are understood by Jehovah's Witnesses as indicative of the original perfection that humans possessed before sin fully took its toll on human genetics and the environment. Enos's long life would have allowed him to influence many generations, potentially reinforcing the practices of true worship among his descendants. Genealogical importance. Enos is part of the genealogical line that leads to Noah and eventually to Abraham, making him an ancestor of significant figures through whom Jehovah advanced his purpose. This lineage is meticulously recorded in the scriptures to highlight the preservation of a faithful line through which the promised seed, mentioned in Genesis chapter 3 verse 15, would eventually come. In the Christian Greek scriptures, specifically in the Gospel of Luke chapter 3 verse 38, Enos is mentioned in the genealogy of Jesus Christ. This inclusion underscores the continuity of God's purpose across the millennia and the fulfillment of his promises through specific familial lines. Jehovah's Witnesses view this as evidence of Jehovah's sovereignty and the reliability of his prophetic word. Lessons from Enos's time. The account of Enos offers several lessons for contemporary worshippers. Public declaration of faith. Just as people in Enos's day began to call on Jehovah's name openly, Jehovah's Witnesses today emphasize the importance of publicly declaring one's faith and sharing in the preaching work. Maintaining faithfulness amidst corruption. Enos lived in a time when corruption was increasing. His example encourages individuals to remain steadfast in their devotion to God, even when societal norms are shifting away from divine principles. Recognizing human frailty. The meaning of Enos's name serves as a reminder of human mortality and the need for reliance on Jehovah. Acknowledging our limitations can foster humility and a deeper dependence on God. Accessing further information. For those interested in delving deeper into the life and times of Enos, Jehovah's Witnesses provide a wealth of resources on jw.org. Articles, publications, and study materials offer insights into the historical context of his life, the genealogical records of Genesis, and the broader themes of faithfulness and worship that are integral to understanding his significance. Conclusion. Enos stands as a noteworthy figure who bridges the early history of humanity with the unfolding of Jehovah's purpose. His life exemplifies the importance of maintaining true worship and highlights the impact that faithful individuals can have on future generations. By examining Enos's example, Jehovah's Witnesses draw encouragement to continue calling on Jehovah's name and upholding his standards in their lives today. This comprehensive look at Enos provides a glimpse into his role within the biblical narrative as understood by Jehovah's Witnesses. His legacy is not just one of genealogical importance but also of spiritual significance, emphasizing themes that are still relevant to worshippers in the modern era. Please like and subscribe.